in this scenario. There's no good option. But there would be no better scenario than for us to see second 15, 16, everyone step in, and another guy get out and blow that motherfucker away. Right? Blow that motherfucker away, that piece of human shit, and stand before a judge who says, thanks for blowing that motherfucker away. I can't believe we found ourselves here. So I'm being told I'm here live in the studio, that right now on social media, this is making the rounds everywhere. I have this correct. It's longer footage, 14 seconds of Iryna Zarutska being stabbed on the bus and sort of the immediate reaction therein.
Right.
Okay. I'll be watching this with you for the first time. Well, I hope at second 15, when we find the extended footage, that people do something. And again, I don't have all of the details. I don't have all of the context. That's a gut punch. It's hard to have a daughter and not think of her at some point in that position. It could just as easily be my son. Can I see that one more time? So what you see there is young woman who, whether she knows consciously or not, somewhere in the back of her mind knows she's about to die. And I said, I hope at second 15 everyone springs into action. But at first glance, the response on that train car does not seem commensurate with that level of a nightmare that she is living through. And it's very obvious that there are some people sitting there with no concern whatsoever. Not everybody. It looks like the one lady is scared, and I understand that. What's she going to do? It looks like one man is kind of stepping in after. It doesn't seem like anyone is all that surprised. I know, assuming again that I, in that moment, if I was aware that someone had been stabbed or a man just violently assaulted a woman sitting in front of her, I know the shock I'd be experiencing in my reaction. And I feel pretty confident that I could say the shock and alarm of my father, of my best friends, of people like Gerald, Josh, Tim. And I'd like to think they'd do something about it. I'd like to think that I would. What I see there is a community of people, microcosm of it, that have become accustomed to this, to whatever degree. And I'm just hoping and praying, not accepting of it. So I don't have all of the details. Yeah. But I tell you what, you'll be able to tell if it's a community that's accepting of it by what happens now. By what happens now. Is this community, and let's be real here, the black community, I don't mean Charlotte, I don't mean train riders, the black community, everyone on that subway with the exception of Zarutska appears to be black. Is that community going forward? Is the discussion going to center around outrage and doing something to prevent this from ever happening again and protecting the innocent so that no one else has to go through that, like Zarutska, no one else has to witness that, and most importantly, duty. Is it going to center around duty? Duty as a society to protect those who are innocent, and duty as an individual to step in and do something. You know, like we've had discussions about duty surrounding Daniel Penny, how he shouldn't have done what he had done, and it was far too common for white men to go out and play vigilante, or the conversation that we had that centered around duty of Officer Darren Wilson. And I know that people are afraid that's a third rail. No, with Mike Brown, Darren Wilson, that guy was a good cop. That guy was a cop who asked to be in an area where he could help the community. He had an easier beat. And someone reached for his gun and beat the hell out of him. And the discussion was around the duty of police officers to be more gentle and to not use lethal force. No. We'll know if this community is accepting of this heinous act of violence and evil, let's call it what it is, if the discussion is centered around duty, not to the depraved, not to those who commit the acts of evil, but duty to the innocent, white or black. Duty as an individual, duty as a society. Look, this is when people say, why is this such a big story? Because it concentrates, it distills the failures of Western civilization. And what do I mean by that? I mean that in the United States, a country founded under God and biblical principles, we have had our empathy used against us. Where empathy, because it is an emotion, can be warped, can be perverted, and it has been made its own idol, a value to trump all other values. Mass incarceration, well, why is it wrong? Empathy. Extended sentences, why is it wrong? Empathy. Bail's too expensive, why is it wrong? Empathy. And we find ourselves at the point where that girl died alone without anyone there. You know what? Not being empathetic enough. Hey, maybe it's second 15. Everyone steps in. There would be no better, I guess I should say, not ending, but following information that could leak out. In this scenario, there's no good option. But there would be no better scenario than for us to see second 15, 16, everyone step in, and another guy get out and blow that motherfucker away. Right? Blow that motherfucker away, that piece of human shit, and stand before a judge who says, thanks for blowing that motherfucker away. I can't believe we found ourselves here. That's the only acceptable option, starting at second 15. Now, what I think is most likely, and I pray to God, I mean that I pray to God we don't see happen, is a discussion centered around empathy and mental health, or potentially how the system failed that man who committed some kind of a criminal act at least 14 times, many of them violent. If that happens, that tells you that you have a society that is not only desensitized, but a community that is accepting of it depending on the race of the victim. How about we start talking about it honestly? Now, is that likely to happen to you? No, statistically. It's a lot more likely if you're on public transit, don't do that. It's a lot more likely if you're in a public school, don't do that. Is it likely to happen to you? No. But it's 12 times more likely to happen to you if you're a white person from a black perpetrator than it is if you're a black person from a white guy. 12 times. So don't use our empathy against us. Hey, we're all one race. We are the world. Hold hands. Human race. Great. 12 times? 12 fucking times? Is that rare? Yeah, it's a whole lot more common than it should be. And what really bothers people is the discussion that often starts happening at second 15 and for years afterward about how, gee, that guy had some tough breaks. Maybe he did. Not as tough as hers. What do you want to build a system around? We talk about systemic discrimination. Hey, is it systemic discrimination when you have a community of people 12 times more likely to commit a murder than the next group of people? 12 times more likely, and someone who is in that community of people has committed a crime and acts of violence, not one, but 14 times, and was deemed so unfit mentally to stand trial that he wrote an IOU and was let go. People often say with these, right, when there's and I don't, when there are mass shootings or acts of evil that will always occur, that's not lost on me, that you have blood on your hands. And you shouldn't be guilted by that because, hey, you didn't vote for gun-free zones where 94% of mass shootings occur. You didn't vote for there to be no armed guards. You probably don't even believe there should be a Department of Education where we see a lot of these mass shootings. But would it be appropriate to say there's blood on the hands of a judge who let a serial violent offender out on an IOU and deemed him unfit to stand trial because he was dangerous enough, nuts enough, that, oh wait, we should put him on a public train car? Would it be fair to say that that judge has blood on her hands? And would it be fair to say that anyone who has voted for this systemic evil rot that has led us to the place where we are maybe has some blood on your hands? You want to play that game? If it saves one life, let me let you in a little secret. There are 400-something million guns in this country. If you waved a magic wand and voted tomorrow and could make it possible where no one could purchase another firearm or a round legally here in the United States, you would not be able to discern the difference in violence. Just as surely, if we didn't have that shitty and evil of a judge and a system that allows it, Zarutska could still be alive. What kind of policy do we want to craft? And what kind of discussion do we want to have? And how about we get back? I talk about, people often say, well, we don't want to go back. We're never going back. Go back. Let's go back. Progress. Progress for the sake of what? Does this look like progress? Does this look like progress? You go the wrong way. If you find yourself lost, do you just keep progressing forward, or do you backtrack your steps and find out where you went wrong? That look to you like we've gone wrong? Does to me. That look like to you that we've made some missteps in need of correction? Does to me. As a society, as individuals, and as a community. If we here, and by this I mean if we, the whole one race of people, the whole we are the world people, everyone, black, white, red, yellow, precious in his sight. Remember that? That's who I mean by we. If we hear any conversation centering around mental health or how the system needs to help these people, meaning the criminals, we means everyone, these people, in this case, criminals, and help them with their tough breaks and give them a leg up. If that's the conversation, then I have no hope for the community. Now, in this case, I mean Black America. None. If there aren't enough voices from Black America with this to drown out the rest of the community, almost like it needs to be a majority of voices saying, this is wrong, there is rot in our community, we are 12 times more likely to murder a white person than the other way around, and we just looked at a train car full of people who responded either in fear or ambivalence, then I don't have any hope. Then I don't have any hope left for that community. And I don't want to hear these solutions now that get concocted. Anyway, look. Let me really boil this down. Let me be reductive. Right, intelligentsia? Oh, that's very reductive. Fine, I'll take it. Zarutska, an innocent girl, is dead. She was killed by a man who could have been caught 14 times. Remember those two facts. I want to go back to them. I do remember, one thing sticks out to me. Do you remember when we first started seeing with mass media these violent incidents? And there'd be a mass shooter, there'd be some tragedy. And you'd always hear someone on the news saying, I don't know, we never saw it coming. He was a quiet person, was a straight A student. You know, it just seemed someone you wouldn't really notice. It almost became a meme before memes were a thing. No one can say that here. I don't know. We didn't know. You know, we had no idea. It was, I mean, I guess until the first 14 times. Just like anybody else. He's not. And there are too many members of the Black American community that are not like everybody else. You know the kind of people I'm talking about. Of course, not all blacks. Not all Black Americans. I know that, and you know that. The ones that you see on TV. The ones that you see in hip-hop videos. The ones that biographical documentaries are made about. You know, just primarily the black celebrities who are venerated and elevated to a cultural symbol in our society. Just those ones who brag about rampant crime. Don't be reductive. Zarutska is dead. She didn't have to be. That man was caught 14 times. Could have been stopped. Not only wasn't stopped, but was enabled, aided, and abetted by a system that was righting all the wrongs taken place centuries ago. Anyone here want to make the case that we couldn't see it coming? Or that, gee whiz, he wouldn't have done it if he had an after-school fucking basketball program? Because if I hear you make that case, and if I hear anyone trying to make an argument in favor of a solution it is anything other than lock these people up, criminals, serial criminals, throw away the key, and start focusing on protecting the innocent and instilling a sense of duty back into the citizens of this country, then I'll know that you're aiding, abetting, and enabling evil too. And most importantly, I know that you and those of your ilk will do it for the rest of your lives. Because if this doesn't inspire you or light a fire under you to shift that conversation to, all right, we've gone too far, we've made some missteps, we have to backtrack. If this doesn't, if that video of that young woman being murdered in cold blood, with no one seemingly doing anything about it for 14 seconds, and by the way, for 14 years, I'm willing to bet, or at least 14 counts before that. If this doesn't shift your approach and your dialogue, then nothing ever will. So if I hear you say anything, if I hear you call me racist, or half of this country racist, if I hear you say that it's a mental health issue, if I hear you say that if we just pump some more money into the system, into schools, into programs, and that'll solve the problem. If I hear you say anything other than we need to go back to calling evil what it is and fighting it, let's be honest, to where we are right now. You're my enemy. We are not all the same. We are not all the world. We are not all the same American citizens if these two dialogues diverge. I don't know what happens at second 15. But I'll be able to know where people stand, and so will you. From second 15 and every second thereafter. There is only one right answer here. That's reductive. There's no door number 2. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the Live Daily Show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.